So what I want to share with you today are 3 traits that you need to have if you want to be one of those people that actually overcome stuttering. If you're tired of being the type of person who, yeah, you might get a little better here, but then it's kind of a back and forth, and then you're right back to where you started, it just feels like you just can't get the boulder up to the top of that hill. If you relate with that, then you are probably breaking at least one of these 3 rules or these 3 traits. You don't possess these 3 traits enough. And what you need to do is actually adopt these traits. You need to grow in your ability to have these traits be a part of your experience and a part of your plan as you are on this path of changing your speech. The number 1 trait you need to have if you want to be that person who overcomes stuttering and you want to see incredible results, you need to have patience. Patience, 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 man. This is something where, as I always say, the vast majority of people who go down this path, who try to beat stuttering, they don't achieve what their goal was. And one of the core reasons why is because they didn't possess enough patience. They didn't have enough of this trait. And so if you want to be the person that's different, that's in the minority, that actually sees the transformation and experiences it in their own life, like I have been able to, like many others have been able to, like my clients are able to, then you need to have patience. Now, of course, patience as a trait in our culture has been dwindling and dwindling seemingly every year. Everything gets faster. Our attention spans are becoming shorter and shorter, and we are being programmed specifically by social media to basically not have patience. We are being programmed to want something and then immediately get the results of that, to immediately get the benefit of exactly what we're after. We have a goal. I want to buy this. Boom, order it online, pick it up, or have it delivered within the day or even within the hour, right? We as a culture, as a society, are becoming less and less patient. And so I think that's the first step, is actually be aware that you're probably not very patient. Be aware of the programming that has happened. Be aware of that you have been influenced by society and by our culture to not have patience. And what you want to do is to start going the other way. Start going against the grain of what normal society tends to be like, especially in this area. You just have to be patient. If you want to achieve excellence in anything, you're not going to do it in just a couple days. You're not going to do it at a weekend retreat. You're not going to learn how to become a great guitar player after 1 week of lessons. That's not how it works. And when it comes to your speech, it's really no different. It's a skill just like anything else. It's a skill set. You are learning to become highly fluent, and that takes time. You got to be patient, okay? And yes, that means multiple months. You're not going to do this in 1 week or 2 weeks. This is going to take multiple months. As I often say, if you want a timeline, say 6 to 12 months, right? 6 to 12 months, and that kind of bakes in that you might have a week where things just go wrong, where you don't practice, where you get off track, right? That kind of bakes in. If you are really, really disciplined, you might be able to get the results that you want closer to 3 months. But I always say 6 to 12 months. It's kind of the general number that I throw out there. And for many people, that's just far too long. But it's not really that long. It's not really that long. When you think about how many years that you've likely struggled with stuttering, it's probably years, maybe a decade, maybe multiple decades. And for that to be overwritten and overpowered in just 6 to 12 months, that's not that long comparatively. Okay, so perspective is important, and all of this comes back to patience. You gotta be patient with the process. Now, the second trait you need to have if you want to see success in this goal of overcoming stuttering, of becoming highly fluent, is you need diligence. Now, I would say that patience, like we just talked about, that is a part of diligence, but diligence takes that a step further. We're not only being patient throughout the process, we're not only not throwing in the towel too soon or not giving up too soon. we are also being incredibly diligent, incredibly hardworking in our approach. We don't just do the bare minimum. We don't just do the baseline of, oh, you know, just 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there. Just do a little bit of practice, kind of here and then there, and then just, just to get by, I'm doing the work. It's like you got to go deeper. You got to be more diligent with the effort that it takes. You got to go all in. If you really want to see results, and especially if you want to see results in as short of a time frame as possible, then you have to be extremely diligent with your approach and with your mindset. You got to do the work even on the bad days, even on the days where you don't feel like it. And honestly, if you can be the type of person that rises above the resistance, that does the work even on a bad day, even when you don't feel like it, you are putting yourself ahead of 95% of people who have also gone down this path, who have also tried to overcome their stutter. If you want to be in the top 5% or the top 1% of people that truly reach a level of incredible transformation and incredible just excellence and mastery, you have to be more diligent than everybody else. Now, what's sort of baked into diligence is you actually need some sort of plan or just enough structure for you to actually follow through on so that you can bring that diligence into the light. And this is where something like my free workshop can be incredibly useful. It's called my Stop Stuttering workshop. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'll talk more about this at the end of the video, but just so you know, it does exist. It's waiting for you. It's 100% free. So be sure to go check that out if you want to take your speech to the next level, if you want to get that plan in place to overcome stuttering and actually achieve the results that you want. And finally, to bring this home, the number 3 trait you need to possess if you want to achieve incredible fluency is you got to have an open mind. Got to have an open mind. Now, this one doesn't seem quite as obvious as the first two, but I think it's actually the most important. Because when you think about it, what is the opposite of the quality of an open mind? Well, it's a closed mind, of course, right? But it's rigidity. That's one word you could use there. It's being set in your ways. It's not being willing to learn new things. That is the opposite of having an open mind. And what are we doing when we strive for this transformation in our speech? We are learning new things. We are destabilizing our thought patterns, our behaviors, our habits. We're changing those. Any kind of rigid mindset or rigid thought pattern is gonna clash with the transformation that you are after. And so you need to develop your mind to be more open, to be more accepting of a new direction. And a big part of this is simply being willing to learn, being willing to accept your current reality for what it is, and to just not be judgmental about it, but be like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and I'm going to be a learner. I'm going to regress back into a little bit of what I was like as a child, because that's really what you need to tap into when you want to have a more open mind. What you're doing is you're regressing back to the childhood version of you. Because what were we all like as a child? Incredibly suggestible, incredibly open-minded. The world was so big and mysterious and interesting to us. And we need to recapture at least a part of that. Now, how do we do this? What is a practical step that you could perhaps take to start opening your mind? Well, I'll show you, or I'll tell you what I did a couple years back, and then I'll give you a couple examples as well. So for me, this ended up being the biggest thing that I can think of is I started to become really committed to reading books, to like just reading a lot of books and just building that skill, building that muscle of becoming more knowledgeable. I was just tired of being stupid and not knowing anything, to be honest with you. And that is kind of what drove me to I reached that point of frustration, and that I reached that point of where the urgency became high enough that I was like, I need to do something about this. And so for me, that was books. That was opening myself up to ideas that would challenge me. And that had its way of really opening my mind, of starting to loosen some of those rigid tendencies. I'm the type of person who naturally I try to control everything. I want everything to be controlled. And that is what you're fighting when you open your mind, when you start to become a reader. And not just reading things that like your religion or your background is or approves of. Like that's not gonna open your mind that much, because you're just re-emphasizing things you already believe or already know. And so this is branching beyond that, of opening your mind. And so that's what it was for me. It was reading books. Now, this could also be, I think, meditation. Something like the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. It's a wonderful app. It really, really is. And especially if you haven't really considered meditation, or if you haven't really done it before, that can be a great way to practice getting rid of the tendency to always be rigid, to always just do what you've always done. You want to learn something new. You want to do something that feels a bit uncomfortable. And finally, to give you a couple more examples, this could also be something like something in the arts, where if you have an artistic side that you feel has been repressed, that you've gotten so distracted with the busyness of your life that you no longer engage in any sort of creative outlet, then that could be something that you learn. So it could be learning a musical instrument, or painting, or writing, like doing anything that's creative and putting yourself out there, building that new skill. Or this could even be learning how to just be a better social person. So maybe creating more of a schedule where you actually go out to places, whether it's coffee shops or bars or clubs or whatever it is you like to do. All of these things, no matter what it is, you want to open yourself up. You want to develop your skills, and you want to do something. You want to do things that continually challenge your current state. You don't ever want to be stuck in a place of just complacency where you're not moving forward in life. That just leads to depression, right? That leads to feeling like you have maxed out, or you have nowhere to go, you have nothing more to offer. That's not a healthy place to be. There's a place for contentment, yes, but you don't want to be in a place of complacency where you aren't reaching the potential that deep down you know you have. So be open-minded. This applies to everything, but let me bring this back to speech, getting a plan, putting in the work. You got to be open-minded to a new way of speaking. Yes, you're going to still be you. I'm not going to be a person who's going to tell you to completely change and sound like a weirdo. No, we want to find your best authentic voice. That's what we're doing. But it's still going to be a little different. You're going to learn skills. You're going to change the way that you speak, because when you change the way that you speak, you're going to change a stuttered pattern of speaking. And that's going to include some changes that come along with that in terms of the way that you communicate. It'll make you a better communicator, but that is a change. And believe it or not, it's not as easy to make that change than you might think, because the brain is going to resist changing from stuttering to fluency simply because it's a change. And so you need to expect there to be resistance. It's not going to be easy to go change those patterns and change those habits. Okay, so you got to have that open mind. And as we discussed, you got to be diligent as well, and you got to have patience. So if you can be more patient than 95% of people, if you can be more diligent than 95% of people, and if you can have a more open mind than 95% of people, my friend, you are well on your way to transformation. You are well on your way to achieving the kind of fluency that you perhaps up to this point have only dreamt about. You can do it. Doesn't mean you'll be 100% fluent. I'm not 100% fluent. I still have bad days, as I mention all the time. But if you want to reach that place where your speech no longer is a roadblock, where your speech actually helps you maximize your career and your relationships and your social life and all of that, then you got to have these traits. You got to have them. There's no other way. Okay. So if you want to take the next step, if you enjoyed this video and you want to move past it and you're wondering what's the next step, go watch my Stop Stuttering workshop. This is a free video training. It's in-depth. It walks you through the process of what does it look like? What are the myths about stuttering? What are the truths about stuttering that you should know about? And then I give you a plan, a daily routine, a system to follow with downloadable PDFs, with an exact plan to follow. It's all there inside of my free Stop Stuttering workshop, and I will leave a link in the description below. So be sure to go check that out, okay? Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.